ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन घटितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वह्नि कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमला प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्।
Namaste. Can you all hear me well? Yeah. So today, Dr. G will start with chapter 8. And as Dr. G had mentioned in chapter 7 at the end on Shloka 29 and 30, there were a number of terms that were brought up, and those terms will be explained. And there are a lot of other important concepts and shlokas that Dr. G will explain. And then a surprise at the end. Wait for that one too. We'll start with the contemplation prayer. Next, total freedom. What is absolute freedom? What is the self? What are the right actions? Absolute freedom is going beyond body, mind, and intellect and witnessing the truth, that primordial and imperishable, that self is present in you and all living beings, and makes the world tick with its creativity and right action. Right action is the one that is performed efficiently and with no expectations. At the time of death, achieving total freedom with self-knowledge is the ultimate goal.
Namaste. Can you hear me? Namaste. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Matre Namaha. Gomatre Namaha. Gita Matre Namaha. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Sabhayai Namaha. Saluting Ganesh Maharaj, Mother Saraswati, Gita Mata, Shri Krishna Paramatma, and all the Gurus, Guru Parampara, and this August Assembly. Let's dwell in the 8th chapter. So, Ashtamam Utkrishtam. This 8th chapter is very special. All the chapters in Bhagavad Gita, all the 17 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, teach us how to live. Whereas this chapter teaches us how to leave this world. So how to live in this world and how to leave this world. There are 7 questions. And these 7 questions Arjuna asks after Krishna cleverly concluding the chapter, introducing some technical terms. So it is a teaching technique to infuse the enthusiasm and to see the interest of the student and to see how to wake up the student. Sometimes just in monotony, we may be lost. So once these technical terms are introduced, Arjuna got a little bit more alert. What? Because these technical terms are very difficult to understand. Maybe Vyasa Maharshi also needed a break for Ganesha to think. Jara Marana Mokshaya. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mama Shritya Yatantiye Te Brahma Tadvidu Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam Sadhi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadhi Yajnam Chaye Viduhu Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Viduhu Yukta Chetasaha. As you can see here, Te Brahma Viduhu. They know that Brahman. So Brahman. Then Krishnam in its entirety. Adhyatmam. Then Akhilam Karma, all kinds of action. Along with Adibhutam, Adhidaivam, Sa Adhiyajnam, Ye Viduhu, those who know. And they also know me while leaving this mortal body. And while leaving the mortal body, they also know how to reach me. So this is how Sri Krishna Paramatma concluded the 7th chapter. And there are 8 answers given by Lord Krishna. There is an additional Pranava Ghosha. So Pranava, Omkara. Prakristena Nava. So Prakristena Nava. So every time you chant, it is so new, so vibrating. Then Pranoyate Anena. With this, you salute that ultimate supreme consciousness, Pranava. Then there is also mention about Purusha, although we talked a little bit more about Purusha in the 15th chapter as well. Then there is Prayana Vishesha. So there is a Shesha and Asesha. Shesha is something left, so they come back. They come back to this world again to do something more good. Asesha is they're done. They're done with what all they're supposed to be done. So like incarnations, they come and they're gone. Then there is also Samaya Vishesha. So the time is alluded to in a very special way. And there are 2 paths mentioned. And this chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga or Akshara Parabrahma Yoga or Abhyasa Yoga also. Abhyasa Yoga also. Akshara, undecaying. Brahma, Brahman, that supreme consciousness. Parabrahma, ultimate supreme consciousness, which is attained, yoga, the union, is attained or happening or can happen with nothing other than abhyasa, the practice. So as you can see, the name gives us a lot of information about the chapter. And it starts with Arjuna's questions. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate adhiyajna katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. Tatta, that, because we don't know what to call, so we call it Tat, that. And Brahma. So Brahma, the etymologically Brahma is Bruhatvat, because of its majesty, grandness. And when you look at the canyons, it's grand. We call it Grand Canyon. So Brahma, Bruhatvat. Then Brahmanatvat, because this consciousness, cosmic consciousness, envelopes all of us and all of this. So Brahmanatvat, Brahman. So what is that Brahman? Kim Adhyatmam, what is that Adhyatma? And Kim Karma, what is that Karma? Even though Krishna has said, Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. So it is so difficult to understand that karma. Please tell me what that karma is. O Purushottama, O the best among the Purushas. So Purusha, we will see the meaning. Purusha does not mean only the masculine person. Adhibhutam kim, proktam. How is it said? Adhidaivam kim uchyate. And what is Adhidaivam? Adhiyajnaha, kaha. Adhiyajnaha is a masculine word, that's why kaha. Otherwise, all these are neuter genders. That's why it's kim is used. So atra here, dehe in this body, asmin dehe in this body. O Madhusudana, because We're so attached to I, me, and myself, my body and myself. The one who can slay this attachment, madhu, this attachment, the raga, the priti, the sweetness of attachment, the one who can slay that, oh Madhusudana. And prayana kale, yana is journey, prayana is prakrushtayanam. So that ultimate journey from this body, either to another body or reaching unto you, because we have seen that. We have seen that in this deha, there are yavanam, jara, tadha dehantara praptihi, dhiras tatra na muhyati. In the second chapter we have seen. So how, katham, how? Jnayaha asi, how are you known? How can we know you? By niyata atmabehi, those who are self-controlled, those who are the yogins. So this chapter is a mystic chapter. It's a yogic chapter. So as you can see, I'm neither a yogi nor a mystic. So we will go through this and we will go through as an exercise, because going through this, trying to understand this, we can try to travel in this path to ultimately reach the goal. So it's called Brahmarakita Nyaya. Brahmarakita Nyaya. So the caterpillar, by thinking of the butterfly, becomes butterfly. So that is a practice. It's called Brahmarakita Nyaya. Then Krishna, he does not take any time in explaining these terms so succinctly, so fluently, and so completely. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. That Brahman is ultimate, O Arjuna. There is nothing. Because in the 7th chapter, now, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchedasti Dhananjaya. So, Parataram, Paratamam, or Paramam, na asti. So, that is Paramam. And what is it? Aksharam. Kshara is decay. Aksharam, the one which never decays. Then what is Adhyatma? Swabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate. Adhyatma is Swabhava. So that nature of that cosmic consciousness, who is expressed in the form of nature, in the form of the Antakarana in all of us, Jivatma. Then what is the action? What is my action? You want to know? Bhuta bhavodbhava karaha visarga karma sangitaha. So the creation of all these beings, not just the human species, O Arjuna, Bhuta, the one which comes into existence. Bhu means existence. The one which came into existence is called Bhuta. So Bhava, Udbhavakaraha, the one who is created. Visarga, Sarga is creation. Visarga is Vishesha Sarga. Vishesha Sarga is Karma Sangitaha, that is my action. Because this Vishesha Sarga is, I am not tainted by this. Chataru Vanyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha Tasya Kartaram Apimam Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam Vidhya Kartaram Avyayam. So we discover something and then we take patency, the patency. Lord is saying here, I have no patency. I leave it to their karma phala. I am the karma phala data, karma phala pradata. Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha. All these bhutas. Ksharo bhavaha. So this adhi means the presiding power. The presiding power. The presiding power in the bhutas. The presiding power among all the devatas now. Purushascha adhidaivatam. Adhidaivatam is Purusha. That Virat Purusha. That Hiranyagarbha. Because we worship so many gods. We have seen that. All these gods are worshipped by us, and that worship ultimately reaches that Keshava. We have seen that Akashat patitam toyam yadha gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaraha Keshavam pratigacchati. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. So according to our nature, yajante satvika devaha. So Sattviks, they worship devas. Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasaha, those with Rajasic nature, they worship those who want instant powers. And Pretan, Bhutaganas Chanye, Tamasa Jana. Then Kshudra Devatas are worshipped by Tamasics. So now all these Devatas worshipped by Sattvic are worshipping that Purusha. So what is this Purusha? Purusha is, one meaning is the man, but we have to go beyond that. So Pure Seti iti Purusha. So this is Pura, we call it. Navadvare Pure Dehi Naiva Kuruvanna Karayan. So this Pura has 9 gates, the city of 9 gates. Or Puram Ekadasham, so with 11 gates, we talked about that. So the one who dwells in this Pura is Purusha. Or Pura Asit iti Purusha. The one who has been there forever, or even before anything else. Pura Asit. Ahameva idamagramasam. So Pura Asit, who was there much before. Purnatvat Purusha. Purnatvat Purusha. So he's a Purna, he's complete. So that's why we say Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyati. From that Purna, we came as Purna. Even then, he remains as Purna. So Purnameva avasishyati. Then Purayitvat, Purayati iti Purusha. The one who infuses life into us is Purusha. We have seen that Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya. So that Panchajanya, this body, which is born out of the Panchabhutas, he infuses the life. So that is Purusha. So that is Adhidaivam. That is above all these devatas you are talking about, or that is the inner divinity in all these devatas. So that is a presiding deity in all the deities we are worshipping. Adhiyajnoha mevatra dehe deha bhrutamvara. See how Shishtagar used to love this addressing deha bhrutamvara, the best among who takes up a body. See, dehi nosmin yadha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. So this is called deha. But Dehi is the one who dwells in this. And we are all Deha Bhrits. If there is any name, before we are given a name as Raju or Suresh or Ravi. So we are all Deha Bhrits. We are Shariris. We are Dehis. So, O Deha Bhritambara, O the best among the one who takes up the body. In this Deha, that yajna which we talked about in all the 4th chapter, so many yajnas. So saha yajna praja sristva purovacha prajapatihi. And then so many yajnas, so many swadhyaya jnana yajnascha. So bahavo, so there are so many yajnas we have talked about. That presiding deity or that cosmic power, that supreme power in all the yajna you do is me. And yajna vai Vishnuhu, there is another great mantra. So that yajna, and we defined what yajna is. Yajna is a work which is done, putting in our full effort, cooperating with all others. And that endeavor is for the good of the community. And the results are taken with a prasada bhava, and you just give up all the karma phalas and surrender unto the Supreme. So that action is yajna. O Deha Bhritambara, I am that yajna adhipati, yajnesha achyuta govinda. So Yajna Isha is Yajnesha. Yajno, Yajnapatiriyajva, Yajnango, Yajnavahana, Yajnabhruti, Yajnakriti, Yajnabhrut, Yajna Sadhana. So is all parts of that Yajna. Anta Kale Chamameva, Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. Some texts you see Kalevaram also. Yaprayati Samadbhavam, Yati Nastyatra Samshayaha. Now, Antakale, at the end. We have talked about this in the second chapter also. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Patha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mruchati. So situated in this Antakale, at the end of giving up this body, all of us have to give up at one day. But Mam Eva Smaran. So Mam, here this Sri Krishna is talking about Parabrahma. So Sri Krishna Parabrahma, Mam Smaran, Kalevaram Muktva, giving up this body. Yaha, whoever he may be, he who, or whoever she may be, she who, Yati or Prayati, goes in a very special way. Going in a special way is the yogic way, from Mooladhara to through Sushumna Nadi and then through Sahasrara Chakra. So that prayana, Saha or Sa, Madbhavam. So Bhuta Madbhavamagataha Bahavo Jnana Tapasaha. So Yati, Yanti, Na Atra, Samshayaha Na Asti. There is no doubt here, O Arjuna. Then how can that happen? Well, it is our lifetime journey which culminates at the end into that state where we can or we cannot remember him or that. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his or her body, that state he or she will attain without fail. So it is here is an example of Jada Bharata. We see three Bharatas. One Bharata in Ramayana, all of us know. The other Bharata, most of us know, is Mahabharata. So before Shantanu. Then this Bharata is in Bhagavatam. So this Bharata is a great sage. He just got rid of all attachments, and then Vanaprastha and then he went into Sannyasashrama. He was living in a forest, and at the end he sees actually a mother deer giving birth to a baby deer, and then mother deer passes away. That baby deer is so cute to look at. I mean, we see how many pets we see, and then we just are so so lovingly, so treat them. So he treats this baby deer as the pet, and so much that he's so attached. Then if the baby deer doesn't come back in the evening on time, he gets so worried. And so one fine day, he actually gives up his body and thinking of that baby deer who was not at home on time. And then he was born as a deer. Then he realizes with Purva Janma Smriti, he was born as Jada Bharata. And there he just acts so dumb, remembering all and dull-witted. And then he was actually asked to carry a palanquin. And then when the other fellow palanquin carriers hit him because he was not walking properly, not carrying the palanquin properly, that's when he talks to the king as, what is this body? What is this Atman? And then all the Vedanta is taught to that king. So that is Jada Bharata's story. So this is the same way we can see Mahatma Gandhi. Some say he said, "Hey Ram," and then some didn't, but certainly, he did not think of any mundane things, or he did not think of how to punish Nathuram Godse. So Hey Ram is possible only when we practice all through our life. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Therefore, O Arjuna, I'll give you a clue here to reach that state. Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, in all situations, mam eva anusmara and yudhyacha. So thinking of me, you act in this world, right? Act. It is like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, that little child goes around the pole and then enjoys so much going around the pole, but not leaving the pole, not leaving the pole. Or it is those little girls, who's just, or boys, swinging on the swings. Imagine, so if they let go the rope, so then they enjoy and they never let go the rope. Swami Chinmayananda says, when we went to Haridwar, so you hold on to the chains, and then you take dip in Ganges and enjoy bathing in Ganges. So that is how you enjoy. And so many examples are given. These women folklore who carry the pots, pot full of water, or even pot over the pot, and then they walk in such a synchrony, and they talk, they sing, but still they actually are so concentrated, so focused on their pots. And there is like Nati Iva. So like you might have seen this movie, Shantaram's movie, Navrang. So there is a dance, so that lady, Shantaram's wife, I think. So she actually puts all the pot over the pot and then dances. So without losing the focus in the pot, but still enjoying the dance. So that is how. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. Sister Gari used to give a couple of examples. One is given in Bhagavatam, that is Ajamila. So Ajamila is born in a very traditional family, but he lives a very low life. And he names one of his younger children as Narayana. So at the end, he just calls Narayana, his younger child, to get him something. And then he gives up the body. So then the Vishnu Kinkaras come and then to take the Jivatma to Vishnu Loka. So that is one. And there is another one. So a businessman, a jute business, has 4 kids. And jute in Sanskrit or Telugu is called Nara Chira. So he grows his jute business so much that he is actually the king of jute business in the country. And at the end, his 4 sons are managing it and he's supervising it and he's on deathbed. So everybody comes and they want him to say Narayana. So they bring all 4, keep showing the Nara. Nara is one jute piece, one jute fiber. Then he looks at them, all 4 of you are here. Who is taking care of the business instead of saying Narayana? So, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. Kulashekara Alvar gives another easy process. He says, just ensure now itself. Because we don't know in what state we will be at the end. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam atyaiva me vishatu manasa rajahamsaha prana prayana samaye kafavata pitthaihi. With kapha, vata, pitta, kantavarodhana samaye smaranam kutaste. So we will be on ventilator. We will be like with a lot of cough and lot of sputum and a lot of secretions, and we are comatose. We are sedated and we are intubated with lines and drains and tubes. Smaranam kutaste. How can I remember you, O Krishna? That's why Adyayeva, right now, let me ensure by placing my mind, which is like a royal swan, in the cage of your lotus feet. So, Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam adyaiva me vishatu manasa rajahamsaha. So, prayana samaye kantavarodhana samaye. So with kafavata pittai smaranam kutaste. That is how Kulashekara Alvar says. And when you do this, And Lord promises in our Puranas, Varaha Purana and other Puranas. So even if you are like Kasta Sannibha, you are like just a wooden log. Aham smarami madbhaktam, nayami paramam gatim. So I will remember and take him to that paramagati. And that we have to practice. Abhyasa yoga yuktena, chetasa nanyagamena, paramam purusham divyam, yati partha anuchintayan. O Partha, anuchintayan, remembering again and again, with Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, with Abhyasa Yoga, and this is a mental Abhyasa, Chetasa, na Anyagamina, na Anyagamina. So, Ananya, Chintayanto Mam, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Eke Kurunandana. So then you reach that Parama Purusha, that Divya Purusha. And this practice, Vemana says, it's a beautiful small poem. Anaga nanaga raga matishayillu chundu tinaga tinaga vemuti yanundu sadhanamuna panulu samakuru dharalona vishwadabhirama vinuravema. With repeated chewing, the name gets sweeter. With repeated tuning, the song gets better. With rigorous practice, one becomes perfect. Thus said Vemana, the saint, poet, and prophet. And this is what we are doing now. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam, tat prabodhanam. So thinking of that, talking about that, discussing about that. Etadeka paratvancha, Brahma abhyasam vidurbudha. So this is Brahma abhyasa. That's why it's called Abhyasa Yoga also. So Abhyasa Yoga yuktena, chetasa nanyagamina. Who should we think of? Although it was said a little bit in the 7th chapter, now it is continued. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaparastat. Think of that, Kavi, Purana, Anushasitaram, Anoho Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, Sarvasya Dhata, Achintya Rupam, Aditya Varnam, and Parastat Tamasaha. So Kavi means Krantadarshi, the one who can see, the omniscient is Kavi. It's a Vedic term. Purana, Pura Asit. So Purusha, Purana. Anushasitaram, the one who ordains us at every moment. Anoho Aniyan, the subtler than the subtlest, which also goes with the greater than the greatest. It is Upanishadic Vakya. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. Anusmaret. So remember, whoever remembers, it's Sakara, Nirakara, Saguna and Nirguna. You can see there are some qualifications and there are no qualifications. Sarvasya Dhata, the one who gives karma phala to all, the one who nourishes all. Achintya Rupam, the one whom you cannot even think of. Then why should we think of if he's unthinkable? When you think only, you know that he is unthinkable. So when you start writing only, you know that you cannot put it in words. So the one who is Aditya Varna, it is like that brilliant sun, who is beyond this tamas. Tamas is the ignorance. So poet, Kavi in ordinary sense is a poet, but Kavi is Krantadarshi. But a poet also, great poets like Rabindranath Tagore and many other poets. Vyasa Maharshi, great poet. A poet is pure and pious at his heart. The poetry is auspicious and truly an art. Whole universe is an unsolved puzzle and vast. Poetry is an unquenchable thirst for the most. Kavitva mukha tira nidaham prapancha mukha padma vyuham, says Sri Sri. A poet's vision is beyond that of sun god. So Raviganchana the Kaviganchana in Telugu we say. Poetry reaches and touches even a layman indeed. A poet elevates himself and others to the plane of eternity. Poetry is an emotion recollected in a state of tranquility. William Wordsworth said that. A good poet makes us feel at home. A good poem speaks to us much like Om. Bhagavad Gita is a song, it's a poem. A true poet serves here as Lord's own servant. For the Lord is a poet of the poets. Kavim kavinam upamashravastamam jeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspada. So we see that, you see. So kavim kavinam. A good poem rings in the ear even when we are silent, when it sings the glory of the omniscient. Like a gardener, poet collects the flowers of alphabets from nature's garden to worship the nourishing Father. Sarvasya Dhata. Like a weaver, poet selects the threads of words to weave the garments of poems to adorn the Mother Nature. With words to inspire, with a bit of wit or satire, with lyrical beauty and prosodic piety, with historical sketch and philosophical touch, with an emotional burst and enigmatic text, the poet enchants world with his soulful chant. He lives in world like a saint, devoid of any taint, seeing with clear intellect, thinking being just perfect, singing with pure and kind heart. My friend, the poet fights with his word in this world, for his pen is his sword and the paper is his shield, and he never cares about hell or heaven, being very bold. And he is a poet of the poet. Gananam tva ganapatikum havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam jeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspada anashunvannotibi siddhasadhanam. So when we invite that Ganadhipati, so that is Kavi. And so many words are used in this chapter. Om, Avyakta, Akshara, Avyaya, Aja, Ajara, Amara, Ananta, Aprameya, all these Brahman. So they all talk about this Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat, the one who has always been there. Chit, that's consciousness within us, the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. And Ananda, the bliss we all experience. And we call that God, Allah, Father. And it is Asti Bhati Priyam. Asti, it is always there. Bhati, it is so illuminating. Priyam, it is all blissful. Asti Bhati Priyam Chet. Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama Chediti Amsha Panchakam. So this Brahman is five-fold, 5 parts. Asti Bhati Priyam, it is inconceivable to an ordinary man. But Nama Rupa is very easy to perceive. Nama, name. Rupa, form. So Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam. Asti Bhati Priyam is Brahma Rupam. Then Tatodvayam Jagad Rupam. Nama and Rupa is Jagat, what we see. So now you see Brahman is five different forms. So 5 different parts. So one is Asti, Sat, Bhati, Chit, Priyam, Ananda, then Nama and Rupa. So these names are very profound. Beyond these words and our mind, and only in silence, my friend, the God is to be found indeed. Unmanifest, Avyakta, unlimited, Ananta, unimaginable, Achintya, eternal and effulgent, Aditya Varnam, and empowering. So Anushasitaram, Sarvasya Dhata, unthinkable and untouched in any which way. God is all pervading, every which way, Brahma. Subtler than the subtlest, Anoraniyan, yet greater than greatest, Mahato Mahiyan, immutable, immovable, Aksharam, Brahma Paramam, all illumining, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Absolute and ancient, Purana, Puratana, Sanatana, Purusha, very old. Nay, Swami Ranganathan says, ever-aging but never old, ever-aging but never old. Birthless and deathless, Ajara, Amara, ageless and genderless, behold. Nameless and formless, Nama, Rupa is only for Jagat, not for that Brahman. God is changeless, thus told, ever existent and expressed in everything, but in a subtle way. The teachers and the scriptures can only point us the way to experience the bliss. This is called Shakha Chandra Nyaya. Shakha Chandra Nyaya. On the first day, of the moon, the lunar phase. The moon is so hardly seen. So if a father has to show to his son, hey, look at that moon, and the son asks, where? Or look at that branch of the tree, the big branch, and then just see, just on the top of that branch. So that is how the Brahman is shown by these great saints to us. We have to travel ourselves, Nanya Pantha, Ayanaya Vidyate. We have to travel ourselves all the way in the spiritual journey. My dear friend, there is no other way. Then, this prayana kali, manasa, achalena, bhaktya yuktaha, yoga balena. So we talked about deha bala, mano bala, buddhi bala, and yoga bala. That comes with sadhana. And bhavor madhye pranamaveshya samyak saha tam param purusham upaiti. Saha, that person who has been doing all this with practice, ananya cheta, sadhanusmaran, then mamanusmaran yudhyacha, so while working and then remembering him at the end. So by holding all his indriyas and then bringing his pranas to bhruvor madhye, agnya chakra, and he gives up this prana through sahasrara chakra by saying this great word, this great mantra. What is that? Yadaksharam veda vido vadanti, yadi vishanti yatayo vitaragah, yadi chanto brahmacharyam charanti, tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. This is again taken from Kathopanishad. It is Upanishadic mantra. That akshara means undecaying, we said, for Brahman, but akshara means alphabet also. So alphabet. What is that? Letter. Which Veda Vidaha Vadanti, the knowers of Vedas, Vedic Pandits say, that Yatis and Vitaragas, the saints and the ascetics, enter into that state, and wanting which, wishing which, and desiring which, many practice this brahmacharya. That padam means word, padam means a state. So tat padam, so that state, that abode. Padam means abode, padam means a word. So I shall tell you, because Omkara is not only a word, not only an akshara, not only a mantra, but it is also a state. So it is the means and it is the goal. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. The sound which all Vedas and Vedic Pandits propound, the sound that all austerities and penances resound, the sound which all ascetic saints and sages expound, the sound that is primordial and profound. That I shall explain succinctly now. O Arjuna, yadaksharam veda vido vadanti, Vishanti yadyatayo vitaragah, yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti, tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. What is that? That is Om. Om iti ekaksharam Brahma. So Brahma is that Nirguna Brahma. Brahma is the Saguna Brahma. Brahma is Akshara Brahma in the form of Omkara. Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma is Vedas. In the Vedas, Vedeshu Pranava, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. So that Brahma means Vedas also. Brahma means this Aksharam Om. So Om ityeka Aksharam Brahma, Vyaharan Mama Nasmaran, Yaprayati Tejandeham, Sayati Paramam Gatim. After being situated in this yoga, as we talked about, with great practice, vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters Trakshari, 3 aksharas, Akara, Ukara, Makara, Omkara. Akara, Ukara, Makara becomes Omkara. If one thinks of that supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body or her body, he or she will certainly reach the spiritual planets. And what is this Om? Om. Om is the omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Ma, all prevalent, constant and effulgent, yet very succinct. Om, the combination of 3 modes and every modality. Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Gunamayi, the communion of Trinity and the essence of eternity. Brahma, Vishnu, Shivatmakam. Om, the culmination of past, present, and future. Bhutam, Bhavyat, Bhava, and Bhavishyat. Om iti etad aksharakam idagam sarvam bhutam bhavam bhavishyat iti sarvam onkara eva. Yachanyat trikalatitam tadapi onkara eva. So it is in Mandukya Upanishad. So Om, the culmination of past, present, and future. It's a presentation and brevity of entire nature. Om, a word of non-commitment and so easy to chant. Whether heard or sung, it invokes the power in us that's latent. Om, the sound with clarity, purity, and serenity. The abode of Trinity and the resort of austerity. Om, in which all gods and goddesses are seen as one entity. Adhidaivam, and all the knowledge and scriptures are presented in brevity. Om guides us to the eternity that is ancient, Purana. It leads us to the divinity that is nascent, Purusha. Om, it gives us that strength to live in present. It helps us depart from here as a saint. Yaprayati tyajandeham sayati paramam gatim. Om, it is an insignia of unknown. Tasya vachakaha pranavaha. Because if Swami Dayananda says, if God has a name, that is Om, an icon of unseen. Om, the means to reach our goal and also the goal for us all. The sound that is empowering, that is encompassing, that's enlivening and enthralling. That sound which all Vedas propound and all austerities resound and all ascetics expound, the primordial and profound sound, Om. It involves the whole, imbibes the zeal, invokes the soul, ensures the wheel, envelops all scriptures and epics, unfolds all our knowledge and lyrics. And how is to be practiced? It is to be practiced with sadhana, anusmarana, and it is like the oil in the sesame seed, like the butter in the yogurt or curd. That's how we have to bring it up. Like the water in a riverbed, like the fire in firewood. It is only revealed and revered, recognized and experienced when one practices with a fixed mind beyond this mundane world. Om. It is a name of the nameless, form of the formless. It's a sound of the silence and pervading all this universe. It's virtuous, harmonious, precious, and auspicious. It is self-illumining, ever-inspiring, energizing, and enlightening. It is a chariot of life with great velocity. It is a raft that takes us to the eternity. It is a medium to reach the extreme, and it is a podium on which stands the supreme. It is a route of meditation. It is a route of meditation. It's a seat of meditation and the heart of meditation. Like a roaring ocean, it is evident. Like a touching wind, it is latent. Like a taste of water, it's prevalent. Like a scent of a flower, it's fragrant. Om, Om. And when we reach this state and go beyond this world, we go into two paths. And those two paths are mentioned in this very chapter. And we reach so many worlds. And these worlds, they're all mentioned if one believes in. There are 7 worlds above and then 7 worlds below. If not, as other commentators say, that these worlds are within us itself. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. And Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. So these are all Patala lokas. Then in between Martya Loka and then Swarga Loka. All these, oh Arjuna, when you reach them, you come back. Brahma Bhuvanan Loka, Punaravartin Arjuna, Mamo Petyatu Kaunteya, Punarjanmana Vidyate. And here, the time is mentioned in a very special way. One easy way to understand time, as Einstein says, it's a relativity. It's a relativity. You can see that when you're waiting for the dear one, the time, even if it is 5 minutes, it looks as if you have been waiting for 5 hours. But a weekend is gone just like few hours, when you are on vacation. So that is the time. So the time for us and the time for Brahmaji is so totally different. Like now this is Kali Yuga, 432,000. Dwapara Yuga is double this. Treta Yuga is triple this. Krita Yuga is 4 times. And Brahma is also, Brahmaji also has his time. Sahasra Yuga Pariyantam Ahariyat Brahmano Viduhu. So these 4 yugas put together is called one Mahayuga. And 1,000 such yugas is one day, not the night, one day. Then Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vidojana. 1,000 such years is one night. And he has 100 such years. You can imagine. So it is like when we say the dog years. Dog years. If a dog is 7-year-old, we say that he is 49, 50 years old. 7 years, 1 year is equal to 7 years of us. So that is how, so Brahmaji's years also. He talks about human years for, looking at us. So this, all these lokas, but there is this abode, which is Jivan Muktavastha or Videha Muktavastha. Avyaktokshara ityuktaha tamahu paramam gatim yam prapya nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. Like Swami Vivekananda, he just gave up the body and he said that I don't have to come back. And no one should be like me. No one should imitate me. And as long as I live as a big tree, the small plants cannot grow under me. So they're done. But there are other yogis, they want to come back. There was a scientist in Kasi, he just, like many believe, he believed that if he gave up his body in Kasi, Benares, he wouldn't be born again. So he asked his family, it's a real story, a professor, he asked his family to take him to the other side of Ganga so that he would be born again to finish his work. So there are some who want to come back to do good to the world. So that Purusha is not a form, it is a state, and it is an experience, and it is a bliss. Purushassa Parapartha Bhaktya Labhyastvatanyaya. And this is only possible. It is only possible. It cannot be explained with science. Where science ends, philosophy begins, as the spirituality begins. Where philosophy ends, spirituality begins, as Swami Vivekananda said. So this is possible only with bhakti. One can experience within. And who is this? Purusha, Para, Partha, Yasya Antasthani Bhutani, in whom all these beings are, Brahmanatvat, Brahman, Yena Sarvamidam Tatam Brahmanatvat. So the one who ever overwhelms, the one who is all pervading, Yena Sarvamidam Tatam, Sarvam Brahmamayam. We talked about that. Then these 2 paths, which we talked about, are the path of Agni and the path of Dhuma. So do not take this in literal terms. These are Adhisthana Devatas. Agni, Jyoti, Ahaha, day, Shukla, white. So these are Uttarayanam, the 6 months. And these are the Adhisthana Devatas. Similarly, the Dhuma, etc. So Dhuma, that is said in Ratri, Krishna, and Dakshinayana, and Chandramasam. So these are the 2 paths. These are called Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati. Shukla is that state, and some commentators say that this is a realized state. And the other Krishna Gati is, so Krishna means, one is of course Sri Krishna. Krishna means black. Krishna means Karshati iti Krishna. So the yogis, these are all for yogis. You see, yogis means the one who is striving for it. So Karshati, there are some siddhis which happen, and then they are attracted to those siddhis, and then they are not reaching the ultimate abode. So they come back again. So Shukla Krishna, Gati Hete, Jagata Shashwate Mate, Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim, Anyaya Vatti Punaha. So one path you come back, the other path you don't. But these are all the great paths which we talk about. These are Adhisthana Devatas. As I said, it should not be taken in literal sense. It should not be taken with a lighter sense. And there is a lot of mysticism involved in this. And all this is possible with bhakti. And whatever is said in Vedas, yajnas, tapas, dana, all that, when you know, when you practice with that ananya chetasa, so that with ananya bhakti, ananya sadhana, that yogi, that practitioner, param sthanam upaiti, and that is divyam and adhyam. Adhyam, that is a primordial abode. So sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. That is Ashtamodhyayaha Akshara Parabrahma Yoga. Thank you.
Malikji, you can do the Gita Mahatmyam.
Okay, so just Gita Mahatmyam. Gita Shastramidam Punyam Yah Patet Prayatah Puman Vishno Padamavapnoti Bhayashokadivarjitaha Gita Dhena Shilasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Santihi Papani Purva Janma Kritani Cha Malanirmochanam Pumsam Jalasnanam Dine Dine Sakradgitam Bhasisnanam Samsara Malanashanam Gita Sugita Kartavya Himanyai Shastra Vistarai Yasvayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad Vinishrita Bharatamrita Sarvasvam Vishnor Vaktad Vinishritam Gita Gangodakam Pitva Punarjanmana Vidyate Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani Karma Pekam Tasya Devasya Seva Kayena vacha manasendriyedva buddhyatmana va prakrute svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
The path of light and darkness. The path of light and the path of darkness, they have been there for eons. The path of light leads to salvation, and the path of darkness, bondage and rebirth. The path of light shines bright for those that shine their inner light on their actions, constantly surrendering it in the fire of dispassion, staying cool as the summer full moon in all circumstances, rising up to all injustices like the rising solstice. The path of darkness is for those that perform actions with little passion and always looking for the fruits. Their mind foggy like the smoke covering the fire, they spread gloom and darkness like the dark night with not a moon in sight. Their fate is to fall back to the earth, just like the fall of the sun in the winter solstice. Okay, with that, Dr. G has a surprise now. So
I think we can conclude this recording, then we can have the discussion, if that's okay with you all. Thank you.